side of everything, then I will then migrate the whole thing to React. Right, I will then migrate the whole thing to React. So for those who are just joining for the first time, which is like some of you that that you are in the Barakat set, most persons in, sorry, give me a moment. Esther, that is in the meeting, please. I'm coming. I'm in a meeting. Hey, I'm in a meeting. Okay, what is no? Outside. Outside. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, on the call already. So yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen, walk you through the app that we have been building, and yeah, I will then kickstart this class from there. Mind you, if you have any question, you can chat or use the type or use the chat or raise your hand to call my attention in case you have any question. And for those who are in Barakat, thank you for joining again. I really appreciate you taking the time out to join. I know many of you are expecting it to be React, but like I said, it's going to start from like pure JavaScript in a way, and then I can then transition into React in a way. I hope I'm not going to confuse anybody into this class. I hope I'm going to try my best to make it as simple and educating as possible. And if things are confusing again, just try to find a way to call my attention so that I can communicate clearly with that. Right. I also believe like everybody understands like the breakdown or the rundown that I have, the rundown that I explain product list. So I want to we can use this design in a way. Um, okay. And, do I have the code on GitHub? I'm not sure whether I have the code on GitHub, but let me first open for sale to be sure. Then let's close all this out. See outside of this, let's see into the extra class. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Also, let me know when you can see my screen. Hello. Yeah, I think my screen should be coming up now. And so this is the repository that I've been using for this is a repository that I've been using. We don't have a README yet. It's a Vite, it's a pure Vite vanilla project. Can we see the IDE though? You can use the thumbs up to let me know if you can see. You can see the IDE, I believe. I believe you can see the IDE. Just use the thumbs up. Okay, good. So here, I mean, you have your entry point, which is the index.html. Then we have our main.js, which is like the bulk of this is the bulk of the place where all the major stuff is happening in a way. So to just quickly explain this, this is the base URL, right? I'm importing like the base CSS as well. We have, I am selecting the current wrapper. There's a current wrapper here. Let's just close this side because we're not using this side. So there's a current wrapper here, which is what the div here. So we're selecting that, right? Then we have this array of products. I'm not sure we're using these. Then we have this product div, and then we are setting the text content to be loading, and then we're also creating this UL, and then we are appending the loading, the div that contains loading to the what, to this particular major container. So it means that when you first run this application, what you will see running is what you are going to get loading. That's what you're going to get. That's the first thing. Then I have this base configuration. The current page is page 1, total pages, ask next page, ask previous page. Then we have the pagination buttons, right? So we're creating a div that will be a container for the pagination buttons. Then we have the class that we want to use to style the pagination buttons, which is pagination buttons. Then we have this HTML, that is the previous. Then you have these 3 dots or the loading button here. You have this next as well. Then we have this function. This function is what? Fetch what? Product. So it will take what? The base URL, take product, and then the limit to 20, and then it's going to take the page and it's going to process. So this is what? A pure function that is going to be fetching the product for us. Then we also have this fetch that fetches the first 20, and then we are processing this, process it with JSON, then this process again one more time. And when it process, we're extracting the what? The pagination data, right? So once we have the pagination data, we are appending the pagination buttons, right? And then we are also what? Updating the buttons. That is, you're selecting the containers, the element on the page for those buttons, and then you're updating. The goal is to update the value. So now this here is to set the pagination. That is, if there is next page, right, and they click on the next page, you want to also do like what? When they click on the next button, you want to also make some what? Operation. And then we are console.login result. We are calling this product display result. We are updating the pagination data, right? Then if page is what? If current page is greater or equals to 2, we are disabling the previous, and then we are also removing disabled. And then else here as well, we are also disabling the next button. And then here, the previous button, we've not made it functional yet, but it's going to be similar again, almost exactly what we have here. And on click, there's going to be able to fetch what the previous, or basically, is that how you use the fetch, or you remove, because this is fetching like something, right? And you can just remove it here because previous is like you're going backward in a sense there. So that sets what, and this here sets what? 1 of 20, 1 of 30, 2 of 30, right here. This sets the text content. Then you display your data, that is, you display the data. Then you append whatever we are going to display here, we append it here. And then so these are those functions, the product display function here, the update pagination function here. So this is just, it's vanilla. Is sometimes it's very difficult to grasp your head around until you see it work. So let me try to run this server on the terminal in a way, and then you can see, you are going to see what the whole thing there is all about. So that is running. Then we can go to I think we can make this the major one here. We can make this a local host 5173. And yeah, don't laugh, it's ugly. Let me cover my face. It's very ugly, But at the end of the day, you can get the gist. There is like you can see the loading, right? The loading, then the image of the product, then the name of the product, the image of the product, the image of the product. And then when we get to the end, you can see that the previous year is disabled, right? And then we have the next button enabled. And here you can what click on next year. So it fetches the next 20 here. So you can see that what you now have what 2 of what 26. You can go again, it fetches the next, you have what 3 of what 26. So this is the breakdown of like what is currently existing. And for these ones here, I think they don't have image or something like that. I think they don't have image in a way. So yeah, you can keep going and but so that's the breakdown of what I have currently working. I don't know if is there anybody from, do we have anyone, do we have anyone that has joined from the Karatu set? Do we have anybody from the Karatu set in here? So if you're here from Karatu 2025, those in second semester, can you say hi? Can you say hi? Or use the emoji so that I can know that you guys are really here. Or they're still not here. Okay. They're still not here. That's very interesting. But for those that are currently here, you kind of like understand the breakdown of what the app is. Or do you still want me to explain? Do you still want me to explain in a way more? Are we all good, or you need me to kind of like slow in and go in deeper into the explanation of how this works? Or you guys are senior already? We are good with all of this. Are we good with all of this? Thumbs up, you can use thumbs up or thumbs down, right? To just quickly let us know. Thumbs up, okay, we've got one. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Senior now. Third semester is senior to second semester, so seniors. You guys are seniors, yeah, you're big people. You're big people. So this is a class of 2 sets at the end of the day. So we have people in second semester and I have people in third semester in the class. So senior loading for job market. Okay. It's always a senior loading for job market. All right. So again, to be sure you kind of understand, this loading here, text content here is the first loading that you see anytime we load the application. That first loading, is the data going to be stored or anywhere or just displayed? I mean, right now the data is just being displayed, so it's like we're fetching it from the API and then we're just displaying it, and it's not stored. So when you refresh, it makes fresh API call every now and then. I think when you refresh, you just make network requests. Let's check the network request, reload everything. Yeah, reload. It's cardinally blocking us here, but this is the call here. This is API here. It fetches the first 20, and then you can see the response here. This is 20, yeah, and all that. So again, for those who are not familiar with this API is coming from api.oluwashitemi.dev. I think by now everybody should be familiar with this. Are we all familiar with this, right? By now, I believe you guys should be familiar with this. However, I mean, when I showed you guys, I've done a lot of work on this more. So I don't think when I showed you guys it was this structured in a way, but it's a little bit more structured in a way. I'm still working on it. So you have products, you have tasks or to-dos, you have posts. I think the time you guys were submitting your exam, this post was not working. I think so. So many of you were just sending your information to task, I think. I can't remember whether I was ready or not, but because I know I gave you guys to post your markdown. How many of you can remember that I said like you should post your markdown to like an API, right? So that you can always call it back anytime we need it. Yeah. And then we have GraphQL as well. I don't know whether I've explained GraphQL to you in this class before, but I know that my Karatu students have explained GraphQL to them quite extensively. Then there's WebSocket. I think I showed them WebSocket as well. And there's the playground for these WebSockets. So like I said, I know that I didn't really do my best with you guys, but I'm trying to correct many of the things I didn't do with you guys. So this is like, these are playgrounds to test like WebSockets and all that. So I don't know how I'm going to get, but I think if you watch the replay, you should have gotten all these updates, because during the replay, I talked about all of this, extensively. This is like, you can do some magic with all these playgrounds and all of that. And I also have server-side events as well. I just introduced this as well. So server-side events too is something that front-end engineers should be aware of as well, where there is streaming. Um, there's streaming. I don't know how much to explain that, but server-side event is just like don't let me talk about it. Let me just focus on my business. But the server-side events, if you're just hearing that for the very first time as well. What else? What else do we have here? GraphQL, WebSockets, webhooks, there's authentication, there's the post API, and there are the documentations here. I know I didn't also explain to you how to use this API.json, and I think I explained this to the Kara2 guys in second semester as well. So if you watch any of the video, you should get me explaining how to use the documentation with Postman, or use the documentation with any relevant tool that you can use to study the documentation. So, but that being said, again, here, going back to this detail again, one more time. Part of the things I think might sound very confusing is that this fetch here is everything that is happening in this app is happening inside of this major fetch. Everything that is happening inside of this major fetch, and it makes the app look a little bit jam-packed. Like, you fetch the API call here, you process the response to JSON here, and then we have data. And then when you look at the API, I think the API returns data. I think the API returns two major things. If we go to product endpoint here, list all products, I think this is supposed to be capital letter G, get, and then you can get products here. So this here is what it will return: the structure of what data, and it will return structure of meta. Data is what the array of objects of each of the products, while meta is what? Can we see meta? Can you tell what meta is doing? Meta is telling us about what? The pagination, right? The structure of the pagination, the current page that we are on, the limit value that we are using, the total number of pages that is available, and then you have these Boolean fields, whether there is next page or there is no next page there. So that is what that is. And so you can see here, we're extracting what? The pagination information here. And here we are setting the pagination buttons. Then here you are selecting the pagination, right, information, and then we are then processing them. So if it has next page, then you process the next page. We had this event listener to process the next page, right? And then you have what? This else button will disable the next button, right? Because if it has next page here, if it has next page, then you process it. Else, if it does not have, then you disable the next page. So you turn the attribute to be disabled, then you add the class of what disabled there. The same thing for what previous. If it has previous, then we process the on click for the previous, or else we kind of like disabled. Then we can set that, okay, since this is the first page here, so you can say, well, current page of what? Of this current page. Then you a function to create the product image. So here, this product display is going to create the product. And if you look at the page that we have very well, you will see that the product is being created. What are we creating here? You are creating an image element, and then we are creating a text to display beside it, right? We're creating a text to display beside it there. So this is what this function is doing. Then here we are setting the product div content to be empty. Remember, it was loading before, so now we're now setting it to be empty. Then we are now appending our product list there. And where is product list? Product list is coming from from where? From this place. And you also notice that what this particular function here, where's this function? This function called product display is what product display is updating the product list. You can see that what it will do data for each, loop through each of the product, right? Process the product. This is trying to clean up what the images, right? Create the image element, create what the text node, right? And append the text node, right? So you can see that what this is the product list here, and it is returning what it is. Product display is returning what the product list. So here, I think what we can also even do here is what you can, we're returning what the product list here. Where's that function again? So here it returns what the product list here. This is returning the product list here, and then we are appending the product list to the product div on that page. And else, if there's an error, so for example, if you had something to this API, let's say you had something to the API, or not this one, let's add something to this API so that there will be an error, right? If you had something to this API and you run it and you refresh it, so you would see that what we are handling what the error, right? And where are we handling the error? We are handling the error in the what, in the catch, right? You console log the error, and then we are setting the product div.test content to be what error failed to fetch product, and that is what is going on here. Do we have anybody from the Karatu guys here? Are they here now? Ready? Karatu guys. Anybody? Nobody's still from Karatu. Let me message your class rep guys. Are you guys done? Are you done? Okay. Okay, Oladmeji. Praise, right? Is that Praise? Are you the one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. How are you? Thank you for coming again. I really appreciate that. Right. So she contributed to the React note. I mean, yeah, a contribution is a contribution. So, and I think it's I think I encourage you guys to contribute to like the React notes, contribute to like all the notes. Those are another way to you to like know all these things I'm doing, to understand GitHub, to understand like open source contribution, all these things. All of them are on GitHub. You have freedom to correct them, to adjust them. If you don't like the way things flow, that's your own first hand experience into open source contribution. And I'm willing to walk you through how to achieve that. And much more, there's a flex also that you can also put that on your resume, right? That you contributed to like open source, right? And then you can always list out. If you check the React note, and name is in the note now as well because she made some contribution. So you can always keep that contributors page and send it to people that you have your name on open source contributions that thousands and thousands of people are using. I think averagely in a month, I think we get up to like 4 million visits on all the notes. I think so. So I don't know what exact number he is, but averagely like up to 4 million visits on the notes. And I'm still not tracking the analytics very well. So you guys are, it's a flex for you guys to, to be part of like the whole contribution. Sometimes as instructor, I can miss some things as well. If you want assignment, if there's no assignment there, you can help me to contribute to them in a way. That's your own gateway to like open source contribution that way. So back to the real deal here. So like I said, the content, the goal here is to take this vanilla forward a little bit. So first and foremost, I don't like the way this is. How many of you don't like the way everything is on one page? Do I have any witness in the house here? Like it is too cramped up in one page. We could apply the concept of modularity, right? We could apply the concept of modularity, right, to break things down into like several or what's it called now, into several model to like clean it up there. So I'm going to do that migration here and then move the whole thing down into models. So let's attempt to just, so the first task that I want to do now is like I want to take the thing that we have on one page, break down into models, use exports and the different mechanisms of modularity to to apply it on the project. Then let's make sure that this is working. Let's make sure that this is working back here. Again, if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask. What's the name of this repository, though? I want to be sure of what the name of this repository is again to be sure. I think GRV. So when I do GRV, do you know the meaning of GRV? GRV is what? Git remote what? I can't remember what the V is again, but I think it should be git remote something. Yeah, git remote -v, right? To what? To view the origin. That's what it is. And then this repository is what? Extra class on GitHub. So you have extra class on GitHub. You can always go there to catch everything that is happening in the repository there. So I'm opening something up on my other hand here to be sure. View all the branches. Let's see. I think I should have. I did some GB. I'm sorry, GB. This is Git branch. Okay. Okay, I'm in Git status. Let's just do Git discard this so that everything is clean. This is clean there. I also want to do a GCO to feature. Feature. I just want to push that to GitHub so that you can see Git feature module cleanup, then Git push. Yeah, I already started it in a way, but I will still redo everything afresh for you guys. I just want to have a visualization of what I did so that it can help me to get started. Yeah, let's see. So the first thing I think for me would have been to look at this async fetch product, right? It can go out. What else? This function as well can go out. This update pagination data can also go out as well. And this whole fetch here can be much more cleaner in a way. So how do we approach this? When we are working with something like this, I think the first concern as well would be that in React, you would have noticed that you have something like what? We usually have components. Maybe let's do it this way. In React, you usually have a component folder, and that component folder will sort of like hold like each of the components. And if we look at our system here very well, if you look at this page has two components or two major components. What are the two major components for anybody that is following? We have the product list, and then we have what? The pagination. Do you agree with me? That is, we have the place where we're listing the product, that's a component, and then we have what? The pagination, that's what? Another second component. So we can now say, okay, let's right click here and do what? New name here and say component is a folder, right? Components with S, and then we'll say we can then have what? Product -list. I like everything to be in lowercase, product-list.js. And then we can also have what? New file to be what? pagination.js. All right. And when we say it's a component, then we can always have them as, let's migrate the entire product list into components. So the whole section of where product list is coming, let's bring the main JS into this place here. Now, the whole place where the whole product thing is happening is what is happening here, right? So I could just do a copy of this whole thing here and bring that into product list. And see everything that we have here. So we can see that what here is what we have a couple of things here. Now, we can create, the process of creating image is this here. Take that into what? One function. We take the whole process of creating this into what? One function. I'm going to just cut it out. and say this is a function that what is a function that what create create product image, and create product image. Yeah, it will take it can always take the src, right? Let's just say create product image first here, and then return here. Now we can then put this whole thing here, and we can then also return I think at the end of the day as well, we can then return the image element. So we can return the image element. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? And so where I took that from, right, you can then have create product image and call that as a function, and then it sort of like takes the whole thing. But it needs, okay, good. It needs some, before I respond to that, it needs some parameter, right? It needs to know maybe like what the SRC is going to be, and what the alt is going to be, and then we can use that too. So the parameters can be SRC, comma, and then we can have alt here. Can you guys still hear me? So let's be sure that you guys can hear me. Am I still audible? Am I still audible? Okay, good. Is there a comment or is there a question? Is there a comment or is there a question? It's scary as you are moving them. I'm high alone in this. It's scary as I'm moving them. Is anybody feeling like that? Is anybody feeling like that as well? That's why I'm trying to move carefully. I don't want to over move. So I'm trying to. Karatu guys, are you back on the call? Is there only 2 persons from Karatu here? Is the only person Praise, and I've seen somebody else. I can't remember the person's name again though. What's the name of your class rep again? I've forgotten her name now. Chechi. Ah, God, don't let me spell your name. She's not here. Praise, sorry, did you attend your session? Praise, did you attend your session today, or you did not bother to attend?
Yeah, I attended. They are currently doing questions and answers.
They are still there?
Yes, they are.
Interesting more than my class. Is the session interesting more than my class? I don't know why they don't want to join. All right. I've told them to join. Well, I'm recording, so hopefully they can catch it I actually left the Q&A still on. Oh, okay. So I think, Victoria, what I'm going to do again is that anywhere the thing gets modeled up, just quickly call my attention so that I can quickly again. But you notice that the app is still working. I didn't break the app. Did you notice that? I didn't break the app. I just only copied the part that I want to refactor and copy it into a new place, and I didn't break it. So that gives us like a little bit of confidence, and then we can always retrack our steps back to understand what we do. So the first steps I took were what? I created a component folder, and I created 2 major components, right? What are the components I created again? I created what? A pagination.js and what? A product list.js. That is, the goal of those 2 files is that they will be the one that they are handling the process of creating my those HTML elements that I'm using in that fetch. Does that make sense, please? Does that make sense? That is, I'm trying to break those things down into components in a way. And I said inside this product list function that I have, there is the create image part. So I copied the old code under the image creation part. I dumped it inside my new function, and I just make sure that I'm now returning the image element, right? And now I'm accepting like src and alt here. So it means that here will be pointing to my src, right? And here is going to be pointing to my alt right here. And you can see that that would make our function work. So it also means that here we can then accept this and say this will now become like the image element. That becomes the image element right there. And you can see that it flows into the exact flow. because, right, this function here returns image element. I have the image element created here and I'm appending it here, and it is clean. There's no like, it's just kind of like clean in a way. And another thing I want to introduce you guys to is, how many of us know what JSDoc is? JSDoc. How many of us know what JSDoc is? Class, do we know what JSDoc means? JSDoc. Have you heard about it before? Have we heard about JSDoc before? JSDoc. No. Okay. So JSDoc is a way of what's it called now? It's a way of documenting where you write what? You just write star and then you put asterisk here and then it creates the closing part here and you press enter here. And when you press enter, that creates comments for you that you can use to document what your document your work in a way. Why do we use JSDoc? We use JSDoc because I'll show you something. So this is a create a product image element, right? It accepts what are these parameters that it accepts? It accepts add params. Is it params now? And I think it should be string. And from here, it accepts add param to the string. What's the name of the param that it accepts? It accepts src, and the src is what? The image source URL. And we can also duplicate this and tell it that the next one is what? Alt, right? And then this accepts what? The image alt what? The image alt text. The image alt text here. So now this JSDoc here, when you hover on this image here, can I see you work? Maybe because I still have something here, we should now have something here. Have I missed something in this JSDoc? Did I miss anything? Okay. So I was missing one asterisk because I was waiting for it to format it. Can you see, as I hover on that function now, can you see this nice documentation that appeared? Can we see that nice documentation that appeared? So that is what we call what JSDoc. And that documentation that you normally see, I mean, of us you've been seeing that anytime you write your code in your IDE, when you over on maybe like document.add event listener, you usually see something like that before, right? Do we normally see something like that before? Yeah, that helps us to, it's like you're adding some kind of documentation to your code in a way to make it easy for you yourself to now remember what is going on here. So again, you can see it's exactly the things that I've written here is what when I hover on it, that is what returned back to me. Exactly the things that I've written that is returned back to me. And it also has some TypeScript here. Barakat people, we understand what I'm saying. Barakat people can relate. Yes or no? It has some TypeScript because when you hover on it here, it knows that you are returning what? A HTML image element. True or false? And that's TypeScript because it is trying to infer. It is trying to infer the exact thing that you're returning here. And I think we can also do at returns. I think it supports at returns as well. I think so. It supports at returns, right? So I can say it returns, I think HTML image element in a way. And then if I hover on it now, there will be at returns, right? And it will return what? You can now say, I think it expects to know the type. This is supposed to be the type of what is returned. Then this is the name of what is returning. And then this is like the text, and it says that the image element of the product. In a way, I think if we hover on it now, we should get something that is a little bit better. So you can see that I think it did not show the type here. Okay, I think it's still fine. It's still fine in a way, but this is JSDoc in a way. And how did I create this again? Don't forget, this should be created by what? /double enter, enter. And then you start with what? The first the title of what? The title of the function.
And then you then start with what? The params, right? The params of what? The params of what? This, I think it can also infer. Okay, I like this. They are smart enough to infer. Okay, okay, I like this. I like this. I like this. I like this. This is beautiful. I didn't know they could do something like this before now. So it's just saying, okay, just put the type. What is the type of my SRC? SRC is a string. What is the type of auth, right? Here is what? The type of auth here is what? Is string. So do we all catch the detail of what? GSDoc? Did we all catch the detail of what? GSDoc? Did we all catch the detail of GSDoc? Thumbs up, right? Thumbs up. Did we catch the details of GSDoc? Did we catch the details of GSDoc? And you feel it's going to be helpful, right? Going forward. Most especially when you want to document your code. When you want to document your code, it will be helpful in a way to help you guys to document your code. So this is what the product image. Another thing that we can document is we can also create the we can create, I think we've created the image. We have, what else do we have here? Let's look at what else we have here. We have the UL. Do we have the process of creating the UL somewhere here? The process of creating the UL here. This one here is creating, is the appending. So that's not the product item. So the function that this old product display, I think I can, nothing is, okay, not yet. So here, this old product display, we can also break it down to, we can break it down in a way to, because it's product display is a combination of, it's a combination of creating the product item. It's a combination of creating a product item, and it's a combination of creating product item and rendering, right? Rendering the what, that item or the product in a way. So we can break this into two functions further by creating another function below and say this function will be what? Function would be create product, what? Create product item, and then like this here. And we can also have the JSDoc annotation as well for that particular function to make it easy, right, for us. And what is the function supposed to do? The function is supposed to what? Create what? A product item. Now, some of you might think JSDoc is long or is stressful because it's just like you're explaining the function in a way over and over to yourself. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to help you. The goal of this is supposed to like help you in a way to be able to work. So when you're creating this product item, what are the big deal here that we have? Creating a product item means here we need this line to come in, right? We need this line to come in. Let's cut this line. That is, it creates the images first. The images will take two things. The image is supposed to take two things, right? What are the two things that it's expecting? It's expecting what? SRC and hot. So it means that the SRC and hot must come from a particular place. Then there is something here. This try catch here. If we want to call this a name, what do you think we can call this operation? For those who maybe are not here before, what this is doing is that this is the place where we're trying to extract the image from the product that we fetch. So we could say that this one here, we could say that this function would accept a singular product, right? So it means that our params here can change to what? Your act params here, params can be what? Product. Your hat params here can be what? Can be what? Product, right? And the product is object. The product is an object, right? So you can say object right here. And we can now say what? Explanation. That is the product, or the product data, right? And what is it returning? We can also type what is going to return and say at returns what? Returns what? What does it return? The type of what it returns, the name of what it is returning, right, if it's necessary. So what should the product that is returning be? I think it should be the product, it should be a div. Let's assume it should return a div containing the is it a div now or a li? Should we make it a div or should we make it an li? Should we make it a div or make it an li? Let's just make it a div for now, right? Returns a div containing the product, what, product image and what, text, containing the product image and text, right? So we're going to still update what that is going to look like later. I was trying to talk about this part here. So this part here, I can also break this part into like into a function. And what will be the name of the function if I want to break it down? So because it is passing, you know, I'm using JSON or pass, I can give it a name and say maybe something like pass product image, right? Or pass product images in a way. That is, let's say if we have a function at the top here again here, we could have another function and say pass product what, product images. So it means that it's going to accept the images here, right? And it's going to return one valid image, right? That's the goal. So the goal is to take whatever we have in this try catch here, just kind of like cut that and bring it into what, into this operation right here. And so here, instead of having product images here, we could just do just appreciate here and do the images. Then we can also do JS docs here as well. I don't know, I don't want to do them again because they're kind of like slowing me down in a way, but you guys can help me complete. You can help me complete them as I can just write one of them is pass the product images from where, from string or array format right here, and then you can help me complete what the type will be and any other detail that is there. So this will take, you have product image. If the type of the product images is a string, right, it should do a JSON.pass the image, else it should return the images. Then it should also catch the error because it's a this can break here, right? So it will catch the error, and yeah, it can tell us console.error error while passing. We could just do just call it, am I using single string? Let's just do error passing what, passing product images, error passing product images. And what is the error in particular, comma, right, error, or just do error.message. Let's do error.message. Just do error or error.message to log it here. And then we also want to return empty array. So we can then return an empty array in case there is if anything breaks, right, return an empty array. And I like to format things well. Let's see if this is going to format well. Okay, this is formatted well for me. So here we can then call this here at the top of this create here and say, okay, try to what, pass the product images, and you would accept what you're accepting will be what, product dot what, you're accepting a product dot what, product dot images. It will accept the product dot images there. Image, is it image or images now? I think it should be image, product dot image. And we should then have, it will accept the product of images, then it should return a variable of what, images for us, which is now supposed to be array this must be an array. That's the key detail here. That is, this must be an image here. And inside of these images here, we can then have our final image, right? What's the final image that we want to use is, I want to pick the first const final image. I think I even have it here. I think I have const final image somewhere here. Yeah, this is copy this whole thing again. Just cut the whole thing there and put here. So here is going to be what? Const final image, right? And then just turn this into a const final image, and this would be the first member of the images, or the first member of the image, or we can just do product.image, right? Or product.image, or in case there's nothing now, you can then do what? Empty string, or let's just do empty string in case there's anything, so that even if image does not exist on that thing, you can just put like empty string as a fallback there. Then here we can then have our src and say final image. This would then be what? Our final image, comma, and what? Product dot what? Dot name. I think the product dot the name of the product. We can use the name of the product as our as our halt, right there. So this will create the product what image. Then after we've created the product image, then we can also create a div to, I think we can create a div to handle this. We can create a div. Don't let me complicate anything. I don't want to complicate this. My head is telling me to do something, but I don't want to do it because I will complicate things if I start doing magic. So product create element, and I have a div here. So here we're creating a div, and then we can call this maybe const product product item. And this div here would then what will be the container. I think we even have the div somewhere here instead of me creating this though. Okay, so I could have just copied all of these and then go ahead and run with all of them, because it's exactly the same thing that I want to append the image and then create the text. I think I can just run with these three. Let's just run with these three straight up here. And then we can just paste this whole thing here. So again, we are adding a class to the div, right? We are appending the image to the div, and then we are appending, after the image, you're appending a text for what? The product test. And I think at the end of the day, we can then return what? What can we return here? Return, what do we return here now? Product what? Product item. And I think that is what? A whole migration on its own there. And after this product item as well, what else can we do? I think the next function can just be what? Render that thing. Function render what? Render product. So we want to now render the product that has been created. Render products, because it's not just one that you want to render. So this is supposed to take some certain things here. That is, it will accept the product with S. That is the thing that we just fetch from like the API. So it will take products with S, and then where will it render it into? Then it needs what? A product dot what? The product what? List what? List element. Because remember that everything that we're trying to render in this main.js here, we are rendering into where? We're rendering into what? This product list that is coming in here, right? So, and what is this rendering though? The core thing that this rendering is doing is what? It will loop through. So I can copy this loop here. Copy this. I think I have it at the top here as well, right? We could copy the loop. Copy the loop right here, and instead of it instead of us having data.data here, what do we have here? it will be what? Products, right? Product with S. So you are looking through each of the products, and we will then try as much as possible to what? To now what? Create what? So you can call the product create, we can call it create product item. Create product item. Where are you? Create product item. That is, we are creating product item. And product item is supposed to accept what? What are the parameters that product item needs? It needs product. So you give it product here because we already have the product. From this loop here, you give it this, and this returns a particular variable. So you can say what const what? Product item is equals to product item is equals to this. Modularity is long, right? It's long, it's time consuming, but it has great advantage because your work should be a little bit what cleaner. Then this product list that we have here, we can then take this and append, right? And we can just cut this line. I think there's a line we can cut somewhere here. We can just cut this line, right? Just cut this line out of the whole picture and say, when you've done everything that you want to do, right? You can then append each of the product item to what? The product list. You can append it. We can append it one by one. You can combine and append it, whichever one that works, right? I think another thing that we can also do is I think another thing we should do is let's make sure that there is nothing in that product list item. So we can say product list item dot what? Dot inner what? Inner HTML, because it's an HTML, right? And you can say, well, set your inner HTML to be empty every time to ensure that there's no existing information inside of you. So this clears, and then this appends all the products, put it inside of this what? This possibly the UL, and then we have each of the item inside of there. And I think we can then export this function, because this looks like what? A function that we are going to need. And we can write the JS doc for this as well. Again, don't forget, you write the JS doc for that. I think now it's auto-completing the JS doc for me if I put the parameter there. So I think I like that more. Somebody can, I think once I make this open source, people can then help me to contribute to the JS doc, so that that will make a lot of sense. And then we can also create a product container. We can create another product container and say function product container, and that's going to be a function. And I think our product container is already here. If we look at it very well, the creating of the product container is somewhere here. So this is the product container. It's a div that sets the content to be loading. So I can just move this whole thing here. You have a question? Somebody has a question? Question, or do we have a question? Okay. All right. Please, Karate people, tell your people in your comments that class is going on, though, whether on the community hub or your WhatsApp group. Just tell them class is going, because though I'm recording, but I mean, the major thing is the classes for them. It's not even for the Barakat people. But you can try to tell your guys and tell them. So here we can paste this here. Here. Product container, right? That's the major product container. What else will it do? I think it can now return. I think what we can do is we can make it return. We can make it return two things. It can return the product div, comma, and product list. And we can then also create JS doc for this as well. We'll create JS doc for this as well here. And so here you can see it's technically returning what? Array of two things. It's returning an array of what? Array of the product uh, product div and product list in a way. And what's this supposed to do? It's supposed to create just create a product, create the product. The job is to create the product container, create the product list container right there. Is my audio breaking? Let me be sure. Is there any itch in my audio so far? Is there any breakdown in the audio so far, or is it clear? Is there any itch in the audio, or it's going fine? Just let me know as well, because somebody said Google Meet. Okay, it's clear. All right, good. So here we have what the product list right there, and it returns two things. And then we could also break down the show loading, because this show loading as well, it could be handy. It could be handy, and then we can break that into a function that we can use later and call that function function show loading or display loading. I think whichever way it works. Paste this here, and it can accept what this can accept what product what div right there, and then yeah, I think we can export this here. We can put export here, and then we can also put export here. We can put export here, put export here. So there's multi-cursor here. We can do exports right there. And yeah, I think that is that. I think the error handling too, that's another thing that we can also put into a function. There's a general error handling as well here that I also have here. So we can also copy this and turn this into a function, which is a show error, to make it easy for all of us. This one still can have you can have JSDoc, right? You know, you can help me to add that later on. The same thing is what we can have function. What I call the name again? Maybe display error or show error. I think I'd have loved display error in a way. And here it can just I think you can just call this action here, and it also needs a property product div, and it would sort of like displays what the error. And I think if we want to customize this error message as well, you can customize this and say, okay, send your error message. Okay, we can say message equals to what? Say message is equals to this, and this will now be what? This would then be message right here. And we can also put what's it called there? You can also put JSDoc here as well, right there. So you can always do that or that. So here, I think the last one is we can then have a function that also now displays the product. That is from loading. Let's say it is loading here, and then we have fetched the product. So we need a function that will say, okay, now you just replace the div that is loading, replace it with what? With the current in our fetch. So again, you can have another function. I think I can always duplicate these functions instead of writing functions 1 million times. So we can say show product or display products, and yeah, it will be this. And I think the line to use here will be it will be product div dot append product. There's a product div dot append. There's a product div dot append. There should be a product div dot append. Yeah, product div dot append product list. So this is a line that will be called inside of this function. So it means that what there will be two parameters here, right? The two parameters will be what? Product div comma, and what? Product what? List. The product div is like the div that will contain the product list, right? And then you have a function that is supposed to help us to display. And then we also want to always set the text content to be empty. So I think we can always take this down here as well. And then you can put your JS doc here as well. You can put your JS doc as well here as well. Sometimes they will help me to complete. Sometimes they will not help me to complete. I don't know why, but whichever way, you guys can help me do that later on. I think, what do you guys think? It's long, but it's not that bad. Is it that bad? It's long, but it's not that bad. It's long, it's not that bad. What do you guys think, though? What do you guys think? Fair? Is it fair? So I think the next thing would be to plug and play, right? The next step would have been to plug and play all these things that we just created, right? Yeah, I think we need export on. We need export on this one. And then we need export here as well. So export here. Export here. So let's kind of like use that in the main.js. Should we use it now and show it, or should we do work on the pagination? I mean, it's still the same thing. Just know that the pagination is just going to be a bunch of functions that kind of like help us to carry out what different pagination concepts. Should we work on the pagination? Any suggestion? Should we work on the pagination?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, smart. So for pagination, if we look at the whole thing that we have again for pagination, what do we have here? This whole angle here is the whole thing that handles pagination, right there. So, and this whole handle here is also where's pagination happening? We have some pagination happening here, right? Now there are some here as well, right? But let's just copy as many as we can copy. So we have this here, bring it inside of this place. This is one here. Then another set of pagination stuff is going on here, right, as well. Another set of pagination stuff is going on here as well. So the goal is to take the whole thing, right, and break them down into reusable pieces that we can work. So what are the example of the functions? If you think about it now, there will be the one that will create, there'll be a function that will create the pagination buttons, right? And if we look at it here, we already have like the HTML that creates the pagination buttons here. And I think you don't even need to do any work. You just take this whole thing again and just cut it and say function create what? Create pagination element or buttons, right? And then you have what? It's an empty function that just takes this here and it returns the pagination button. I think it must return the pagination button to make our life easy. Return pagination buttons. And so again, we can write JS doc for this as well. I don't know whether they will give me yeah, so we can write JS doc for this. That's the first one. Now the next one is to have another function that will update the pagination number, because after we make like an API call here, the numbers are being updated, right? The pagination number has changed from 2 of 26 to this. And I think that line that does that is this line. There's a line, I think there's a function even in this main JS that helps us to update pagination, right? It accepts, what the pagination number accepts what the current page and the total page. It accepts what this, so I could just copy this, right? Just cut, or copy. No, let's just copy so that I don't break the app. Copy, and then I put this as the second thing here. Here, this page number span here, we can create it afresh as well here. So document.create, it will create the page number span here. It will query it, and then this can go out of what? This can go out of what? Our parameters that we have here. So this will query this particular what element on the page, and then it will always now update the what? The pagination. And again, we can create what JS doc here. JS doc is only for your own sake when you come back to your code, so that you can understand the idea, the mind behind what is going on. And after we've done that as well, we can also create another function to help us to update the button state. That is, should the button be disabled, right? Or should the buttons be enabled? Right here, the button is what? Disabled here. Right here, the button is enabled. So we need a button that helps us in a way to do that. So to get a button that helps us to do that, I think, and you can also see that the word state is coming into this place. How many of you noticed that word? Let me create the function, and then we'll kind of see the word that I'm referring to. So you can have what? A function. I think I need a snippet for function. CFN. Honestly, I need a snippet for what? For function. There must be a snippet for function. Do we know snippets? Do we know what snippet means? Do we know what snippet means? If I say snippet, class, do we know what snippet means? Snippets. For JavaScript, is there no snippet for functions? Okay. I don't try say for this life. Oh. So I have a snippet for this called func with capital C. And I have a snippet with func. So why are they not coming up? And I have another snippet for arrow function. I have another snippet for arrow function short. And I have a snippet for anonymous arrow function. And I have a snippet for async arrow function. I've tried in this life though, with this code thing. God should allow me to blow. God should allow me to blow once, at least. So we have, I think if I do func, okay. So that we have tab here. Yes, at least this will save me. This will save me, and I have a func with capital C. Yes, yes. So this is a lot more better, right? Instead of just writing it over and over and over and over. So I can call the name what update. You want to know how to create the snippet? How many persons want to know how to create the snippet? How many persons want to know how to create the snippet? Snippet is in VS Code. Is in I think we have snippet in VS Code. How many of us have extensions that you've installed on your VS Code that does snippet for you? I think there are some extensions that you probably have installed, especially for the React TypeScript people. The people who have done React TypeScript, I think I mentioned a particular extension in class. For those who can remember, maybe I'll probably just send you the documentation link to create snippet, or I probably will send you a video of me explaining how to create snippets. I mean, they are always handy in your learning phase, but I don't think I use them as often as possible anymore, but they are always handy in a way. So we have what update button state. And what are the parameters that we need here? It needs to know if there is ask next page, right? If there is a ask next page parameter, right? Or if there is what it has previous page. And based on these two things, right, we can now always decide what our button is going to look like. Again, what will our button look like? Get the first two, the prev, and where is the code to get the prev? There should be a code to get the previous buttons, right? So here it gets the two previous buttons, so we can copy this as well. So again, no stress. copy this, right? That's the first step. Then the whole if statement, if there is a brief, I think we have something like if there's a brief button, or maybe we should write our own. That is, if brief button, that is, if brief button exists on that page, if brief button, if truly you did the query selector of that button and you found the button, right, good for you, then we can write what? Some code. Right? If there is brief button, let it be disabled based on which condition. So we can say brief button dot what? Dot disabled, right? Based on what? What is the criteria to disable? If the what? If there is what? Ask next page, or we can disable. Let me get this right very well. We want to disable the previous. So let's go to this page so that I can get what is going on. So here, this previous is disabled when the ask previous is false. So and this is enabled because what? There is ask next to be what? True. Do we understand that condition now? So what makes this previous to be disabled is because ask previous must be what? False. So based on our code here now, if my ask previous page, if my ask previous page, if ask previous page is here, if ask previous page is here and it is true right here, so whatever you have, the negation of this here. So if this is true, ask previous is true, what is the negation of true? False. Then this will be disabled. But if ask previous is what? If ask previous is true by default, right? And then what's the negation of true, right? The negation of true will be false. Then this will be what? Disabled will be false. So it means that what? This will not what? Be what? Disabled. I don't know if you understand this logic here. Can we relate with this logic? That is, again, ask previous dot disabled. The only time you want your brief button to be disabled is when there is a ask previous page that is true. The only time you want your previous button to be disabled is when there is ask previous and it is what? True, right? That is, what am I saying? Ask previous dot disabled will be disabled if this line here it is true. Is that what the right thing is supposed to say? Let me slow down so that I don't confuse you guys. Ask previous disabled to be true if ask previous is false. What am I saying? Let me think and say something. Ask previous disabled. Yeah, let me use this code and get my logic very well. This is disabled because initially when I fed this page, the has previous, right, will be false, right? So when this place here is false, this should be disabled. Okay, so I need a comment there because it's confusing even myself. So here now, brief button must be what? Disabled, right? Disabled if what? As what? Previous, right? If as previous page is what? If as previous page, so if as previous page is what? False. Do we agree with this statement now? Do we agree with that statement? I think that statement is perfectly correct now in my head. That statement is perfectly correct in my head. I think so. It's correct in my head. This button here must be disabled if the API that we fed is telling us that what? There is no previous page. So if you don't have any previous page, then our button should be disabled. Is my English okay? Is the English okay? If there is no previous page, then disable that button, right? But if you click on next here and there is now a previous page, then you can then what? Enable that button. Does that make any sense to anybody? Does that make sense to anybody? Does that make sense? The logic. So the way, again, we are wiring the logic is that what? We are using this what? This condition. So if this is true, right, and you do the not of true, not of true, right, it will become what? It will become false. And if this is false, if you do the not of false, that becomes what? True, right there. So that's why when this is false, here, this button will be disabled, and when this is true here, this button is going to be what? Enabled. Does that make any sense? Again, can we relate with the logic? Is the logic better? Is it better now? Is the logic better? So the way, again, you want to say to yourself is what you read the comment, as previous page must be what? Disabled, right? If as previous page is what? Is false. And you know that disabled attribute needs something called true. For this to be disabled, this must be true. So it means that if this is false, how do I turn what is false to be true? Then you say what? The negation of what? False. And it comes to what? So true. The negation of false, and it comes to true right there. And inside of this as well, now you can now say that what? Check if what? If what? If you can check if as previous now. If as previous page is what? Is true. And if it has previous page is true, we then want to remove, right? You want to remove disabled, because this is a way to, like, say you want to do class list. I think I have the code for those things here as well here. So we have remove. Where's the remove here? So, we have it here, and then we can paste this here. So priv button class list dot what? Remove what? The disabled what? Attribute there. And then else, we can say that what? Else here, right? The else here is what? Duplicate this, right? Duplicate this with your short command or your VS Code, and then this will be what? Hard disabled. And then the whole process of this whole thing here, right, will be duplicated for what? Your next button. We can duplicate this as well for what? Command K D. I think select this. I'm trying to select as many as possible. I think I can comment this out here, remove this here. This is multiple cursors for those who don't know. Yeah, we're using multiple cursor here, and then this would just change to what? Next. And then yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
How do you achieve multiple cursors?
Yeah, multiple cursors can be achieved by pressing down. I think on a Mac, you are either pressing down your command on a Mac, but on a Windows, you are pressing down Control for different people. So when you press down your command and you do click, right, you can see that now I have multiple cursors. And then I can carefully type, and anything I type would be what will be appearing on each of the cursors there. Does that make sense? So on Windows, you are holding down. Yeah, you are holding down Control on Windows. On Mac, you are holding down Control. However, you can also configure it. And that's the thing with these things here. I don't want to confuse anybody. Just the way your snippet is configurable, you can style it to whatever taste you want to. The same way, the key that you hold down for your multi-cursors, they are what? Configurable. And if you want to have an idea to all the settings I'm using, I don't know whether I've said this before, but if you want to have an idea to all the settings I'm using on VS Code, if you go to oluwashitemi.files, there is a list of all of the what? There's a list of all the settings I'm using. I think VS Code settings should be around settings.json. So if you check settings.json, you will see a list of all the settings I'm using. Again, I'm not saying you should copy it. I'm just saying if you have interest. Don't use it if you don't know what they are doing. right? But inside of these settings here, there will be one configuration that I'm using to change the key from command to another key. But again, it's beyond the ordinary entry level scope, but I'm just saying it for those who have interest. If you have interest and you have been thinking about it and all that, good for you. The file is on GitHub if you want to have access to it. But if you like my VS Code, the way the jargons is and all that, this is the settings that powers it. Again, I'm warning you, it can destroy your VS Code. So don't copy it without you necessarily knowing what it is doing. I did warn you so that you don't say that I have spoiled your VS Code for you. And if you're using any other ID, say maybe Cursor, or you're using Z, like I like to. And for all the snippets that I have there, I think the snippet is inside of this JavaScript.json here. Yeah, I think all my snippets are here as well. So again, I don't know what you want to do with it. I'm just telling you where you can find them easily. If you don't need it, just face your business. Code is your business. It's not VS Code configuration. Okay. I did warn you, and I'm saying it again. Please don't choke your head at your mouth if you don't have the interest into those things. All right. So here we've done the exact thing that we've done for the preview. We've done it as well for the next button as well. And I think that should work for us. So if next button, I think here we can say if next button must be what disabled, if asks what, if asks next, if has next page is what is false. And then I think here this is supposed to be has next. Yeah, and then I think we should just disable. There's something to disable here. I think in this function update button state here. This is supposed to be next page. To select multiple things, as I've selected this IOUS, if I press Ctrl D or Command D, it will highlight the next one. You see that as I press this, it has highlighted the next one, and I can delete both of them together as well. So that is another cool trick as well that you can also learn within your VS Code as well. So that is that. I think we also need another function to set up the pagination. So I think we've done this. We've done this particular one. We've done this as next here. Though we've not done this on click here. I think this is the next one that I want to fix here. So I'll call the function. Let me just copy it. I can copy that and call it how do we call this function now? Func with capital C, and press enter. The function is set up pagination. Maybe we should call it set up pagination. Okay, maybe we should set up the event first. Let's set up a pagination event handler, and the name is supposed to be, let's just do setup. Let's call this setup pagination event handler, and handlers, and it will take what, a callback function on next, comma, and on previous, and then that does what it's supposed to do. And then we also have, we can just copy this line again into this place. So if it has this here, again, you can see that I'm moving a line from one place to another. I'm moving code. You can highlight everything and hold down your alt key, hold down alt, highlight, hold down alt to move Like, these are cool features that you can use as well to make your life easy. Now, after we have this, then if we have our next and previous button, we want to set up what our event, what listener. So what we want to do here is if there is a next, if there's a next button, right, it means that the HTML element is on the page. Then you can now say next button on click is equals to on next, because it's a callback. And I don't know that I've been using this, and we can also do the same thing with the previous. So duplicate this again, highlight, duplicate, and then we have previous, and then we can say if prev button, and then this is going to be on previous. Right, it's a lot though, or the modularity is a lot, but it will teach you how to break down, the concepts that we have in this page now that is raw. It will kind of like guide us on how to break it down. So again, this is this one here. We can short this function. We can shorten this one with ternary. Do you agree? Right? We can use ternary to shorten this if you want to. Right? Yeah, we can use ternary if you want to, but this works perfectly fine for me. And I think we are done with everything here. Are we done with everything here? I think there's one that I've not done. I think this, have I done this 117? Let me confirm I've done this 117. 117. Okay, I think I've done this 117. It's here on this line 31. And I think I can append export in front of everybody. I think we're not really using this line as well, so we can delete this line as well. Here. We can delete this line. So here we can put append this, append this. So in the front of all of them, you can just append export in front of all of them. So again, multi-cursors, right? Multi-cursors. So just type and append all of them there. And that is everything about pagination and product list. So how do we replace, right? How do we replace? But before we also replace, another thing that I also would like us to know about is we could have a function called a folder called services. And what that function will do is we could say services is a folder, and we could say product API .js. Who can guess what this will do? So it means that every place where we have like a function that is fetching, so here where we have like this base, or where we have a function that is fetching like this, right? It will be the job of the service, right? And that is something to also help you to make your work a little bit clean in a sense. So we need a function that will help us to fetch product. So let's copy this into this place, copy the base into this place. Base can be anywhere. You can save it inside a file called const, or you can save it inside a file called util, or whatever, just to make it a little bit easy for you. So you can set the default of your page to be 1, and then we can say limit to be set to to be 20 by default as well, right there. And then we can also create what does it return? It should return the JSON of all of them. I think we can also create JS doc as well for this as well here. I think we can also now make it a little bit clean. Also, we can create try and catch. Why do we need to put try and catch for our async functions? We need try and catch for our async function because it will help us to catch any error in case there's any error. So here we have product to be 20. So let's turn this 20 to be dollar curly braces. Yeah, and this will be limit here. And What else do we have? We also want to do undo error, even here as well. So if there is no response.ok, like if there's no response.ok, we can then what? You can throw an error, right? You can throw new error. So what you're saying here is that if by some reason the API failed, right, you can throw that what? The HTTP what? HTTP error, right? You say HTTP error, and then we can also give it the status code so that people can know what our status code is and why it is failing. And here we can say dollar curly braces here and say response dot what? Response dot status. I think response dot status or status. Yeah, I think it should be response dot status. So in case it did not fail like this, then we can then return with what the JSON. And since we have a catch here, you can then do what a catch. We're trying to do a try and catch any error that we have, and then return and also throw or do a console.log right here. You can throw the whole error, right? Or you can also do what a console.log so that people can know why there is what an error here, and do console dot what dot error here and say error while what fetching products with s. So this is a function, and because here we can always do we can always do export here so that we can import this into our application. So again, services folder helps us to do what? What does services folder help us to do? Service folder helps us to what? Sorry, you'll catch the replay for those who maybe your devices are low already. A lot of people are dropping off. Sorry about that. But do we understand so far the modularity though? Can I get a thumbs down or thumbs up? Do you understand the modularity? You know that we've just started using the modularity. We're just still writing. Are we still understanding the modularity? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs down. Is it still making sense? Are we still together? Okay, we're still together in a way. All right. So another one I want to also call your attention to is what you can right click and create a folder called utils. Utils is just to I think your utils folder is just to handle any utility that you have. And this one is going to be something that most of you have probably not seen before, right? Stay tuned and watch as I cook this one. Stay tuned and watch as I cook. In React, we have something to manage our state in React. In React, we have something to manage our state. In React, we have something to manage our state, and that is called what? Your React.use state. We have our React.use state, and the use state is like, it's just like it has been built already for you. You just go ahead and use the hook, and it goes ahead and manage your state. But the truth is, like, the whole thing that use state is doing, you yourself can also create a function to do that yourself, and you can create a function that does that exact same thing for you, right? Easily. So I'm going to create a utils / let's just do utils / state.js. So what that state.js is supposed to do is it's supposed to help me to manage my state. And today, I don't know how many of us have used class before. Have you used class in JavaScript before? How many of us have used class in JavaScript before? Have we done class in JavaScript before? True or false? Classes. It's not common for most of you to have used classes, but let's try to write a class. A class is going to be what? This is how we create a class in JavaScript. And it can extend some, let's say you have another class or an interface, or it can extend anything you want it to extend. The first function that is always called in a class is something we call constructor. The first function that is always called in class is called constructor. And a constructor is a function that is just called, but is the first function that will be executed. So most of the time, our variable declaration is always done inside what our constructor. Most of the time, our variable declarations, they are always done inside where the constructor. So all the things that are the major variables that are like state management in this application, I will just put it inside what this what constructor. Again, constructor is the first function that is always called in a class right there. That is immediately you are instantiating the class. That's when what your constructor is going to also what be called. And the way it is going to be called is what, instead of using let, right? Instead of using let, a constructor is going to be called with what? They are going to be called with something like what? This dot what? This. That is, it is creating this current page as a variable, as what? A variable inside of this class. So how do I know this? So let's copy this here and take this into what? Or we don't even need to take it anywhere. Let's just instantiate. How do you call a class? How do you call a class? You call a class by doing what? The new keyword and say what? App what? State, right? And then you do what? You call it like this. And then it will create what? A state for you. It will create a state instance, and say, we can say app state, right? App state is equals to this. And then we can export our state, export the state out to use. And if you console.log, or if you console.log this app state, right, it will return a object that contains current, total pages, limit, and this out for you. So, and that's why we call it a state manager, right? So this becomes a state for our what application. Then, do we understand that before I go further? Do we understand that before I go a little bit further? That, or you have
Please take a
questions?
little and re-explain it again, sir.
Okay, good. So, like I said
From
again,
the
this is the first. This is the first time you are seeing classes. For probably maybe for those of you who are just seeing classes for the first time in real use. How do you declare a state? You declare a class with what? This syntax. This is the class, the name of the class. Then you open your curly bracket and you close your curly bracket. A constructor is a method or a function that is first. What is the first function that is called inside what? A class. And what does this mean? If I do method. So this is the way a method looks like. A method is like what? The method name, the parameter, and then the curly bracket of the method. And if you compare this with what I have here, you can see that what the method here is what? Constructor, right? That will be the name. We don't have any parameter, so you delete the parameter, and then the action that will happen is going to be inside of this place. So again, a constructor is the first method or the first function that as the class is being initiated, here the class is being initiated. And how do you initiate a class? Instantiate a class instance. This class here, right, app new state creates a. And the reason why classes are very dynamic is that you can have two copies on the same application and they'll be doing separate things. So this can be what? Copy 1 and copy 2, and they are separate things. This one does not know about this. A small example of what this class is doing is an example of what this class is doing is that what? Take this class as what? A bakery that creates a bread. Take this class here as what? A bakery, and it creates a bread. So this is bread of what? 30 naira. This is a bread of what? 40 naira. They don't know about each other. The only thing is that this is the what? This is the what? The bakery. This is like the baking pan, in a sense, that takes different parameters, right, to cook what? The bread. So again, classes are what? Just ways for you to create what? Instances of objects. We use class to create instances of objects. Can we do this with a function? Yes, we can do this with a function. 100% we can do this with a function. 100% we can do this with a function. And again, a simple example of how to do this with a function is what? Function, what? App, what? State here, right? You have this here, right here, and then we have what? We copy all of this to be what? To be like this here. I like JavaScript. I do like JavaScript. Sometimes I like JavaScript, but I don't know. I just like JavaScript. I just like JavaScript. And this is the function part of it. Do we need to have these though? I've forgotten, but let me do some playing around in the console. Let's do some playing around in the console. My time is up. My time is up. My time is almost up. For those of you who have something else to do, or plan something else to, let's just do this here, and then we can do new app state and do it like this, and then you can say let a equals to this, and a is an object. Yes, I'm correct. Can we see that? Can we see that? So this with a function still works, but a is an object that contains what? What does a contain? A now contains what? Current, has next, has previous, and has what? And limit. What about construct? Again, like I said, I'm just using function here. When you're using function approach, there is no constructor. Constructor only comes to play where we are using what? Classes. Does that make sense, JBoss? Does that make sense? Constructor only comes in when we are doing when we are using classes. And again, if we want to run the example with what? I think if we want to run the example with the class as well, refresh this page. Let's just copy this one as well here. There. Yeah. So how do you create a new instance again? You say what? Let what b or v equals to what? New app state here. And then you have what? V. And V is an object that contains what? All the things that you want them to contain. So this new keyword is what helps us to create a new instance. So like I said, I used class here because class is more robust. Class is more robust than what? Function here. Because not only do we want to have what? This default data, we also want to have methods. We want to have other methods. That is, in your state with React, apart from having the value of the state, you also want to have like a set state. So here, I also want to have like an update, a function that I can use to update what? Any of these value. That is what update. So the update, I want to use the update to what? To update what? Any of the the value. And I think I can also add the products, because here we can say this dot products with s. Product with s is equals to what? Empty array right there. So here, let's say we take the data for all of them here. We can just have what? We just say that we can just say I think what I can do is, let's just do if data dot if there is data dot meta, right? Meta, you know that this is based on my API. So if there is data dot meta, we can then do this dot current page, right? This current page will now be equals to what? Data dot what? Data dot meta, right? Data dot meta dot what? Dot current page. Or you go back to what? The default and say this dot what? Current page. So what this would help us to do is, like, if you fetch the API and you call this update function, it will set whatever API returned and set it as what? The new current page. So let's say you're fetching page 2, then our current page will now be what? 2, and then here it will be what? 2. And then we can duplicate this as well. So for the next one, our total pages, right, will be what? Total pages will be what? Just total what? Total pages for everybody. And then we can also set what? The next one will be what? Limit. I think limit is fine. We can leave limits the way limit is. But we can also set, I think, as next page and as previous page. So again, I can duplicate this, right? Highlight what? All of them here. I can say this will be what? As next what? Next page. And then we can duplicate this as well to also what? Duplicate this as next page to be what? As what? Previous page. So this again will help us to manage the manage the update. That is, anytime somebody call the update function, right, it will help us to manage. And I also will say that if there is data, right? If there is data, what you can now do is what do we want to set if there is data? You can say this dot product with s is equals to data, or this dot it should be double, or it should be double, or it should be this dot product. That is, go back to whatever your default is, right? Go back to whatever your default is in case here. So if this operation is failing, yeah, and we can use optional chaining here to make it defensive from error. We can use optional chaining here. So this is called a method. This update here is called a method, right there. So, and how do you call this? Again, let's copy the class so that you can see how this is being called in general. So how this will be called in general is okay, let's just delete this. You paste this here, so you can see that it contains the constructor, it contains the update, and then you press enter to run it, and then you can do const or let's just do let v equals to new app state, open bracket here, and then we can do v is to our object, but v can now do v dot update. So if there is v.update, I can then put a object inside of this place that contains that contains a data, right? I can then do a data here, and I can then do meta that contains something here. I don't know whether you understand this magic now. So the reason why we're using this is there is now it's just like you are defining your own set state. You know, in React has already created the provision for you, but now it's like you are creating a class that will now have that structured kind of API, something similar to what React has. And I think we can even change the name to maybe set state, right? To make it look like React. You know, you can call it anything you want it to call, but at the end of the day, it helps us to update this. And again, you can put your JS docs at there. And another thing that we can now have is we can now have we can have something called getters and setters. So what getters and setters means is that, for example, now let's say somebody just want to get one data. Somebody just want to get one thing. That is, they want to get the current page. So you can say get current page. So this is a method as well, and it's just going to return what will it return? Anybody? It will just return this dot current page. So this will always return whatever the value of our current page is at every point in time. So you can duplicate this you can duplicate something like this for your get total, right? Because this will also get total pages, and then you can change this to get total pages, and you can keep writing for each one of them. The one that will get current page, get total page, get this one, get this one, get this one as well. So these ones, because they are starting with get, they are getters. That is, get means that they will always give you value, whereas set will always be to set value. So let's say I want to create a set now. Can somebody get what the set would be? So my set current page, right? My set current page will then be my set current page will then be something like this. It will accept a value, right? A value, and it can then do it will then do it will then do this dot this dot current page is equals to value. So that is what's set. So if somebody can now call this function and say set current page to set current page to be to be 20, and this will just set our current page to be 20. And this is the reason why classes are a little bit good. This is the reason why classes are a little bit very good. Classes helps you in a way to just clean up things and make your work a little bit more structured in a sense. Do we have a little bit high level on what classes are? Just a little high level. a little introduction, high level into what classes are. A little high level into what classes are, right? A very little high level into what classes are. Yeah, I know it's maybe the first time I'm also using this in class with some of you guys too, but yeah, it's just a little high level into what classes are. They have methods, they have classes are complex. If you want to know more about classes, I talked about them in my JavaScript notes. So if you care more and you want to know more, or you can go to javascript.info or go to MDN to like get a little bit deeper into what classes are. Okay. I don't want to go too deep into it. You know, I can keep talking about it because I like it and too much. Classes as a class can create an instance. An instance is just an object. That's what a class can create. Okay. And inside of a class can have what properties, they can have method, and they can also have public properties or private properties. That is, they can also have methods, and it can have a public method or a private method, as the same case may be. And classes can also have something called static methods as well. I think we can have static methods. So class is the big deal when it comes to JavaScript. That's the way they build all these APIs that you're looking at, you know, document dot something, right? Classes is what they use to like create them behind of the scene like that. So it's a bit high level, it's a bit complex, but in the JavaScript note, I did talk about them extensively. If you don't like the JavaScript note, you can use Mozilla MDN, or you can use javascript.info, or you can search on YouTube to find like any of these quality YouTube channels that talks about introduction to what classes are. Okay, but the reason why I need them in this case is that I just want to create a particular JavaScript data structure that I can use to just undo my state, the state of my application. And when I say the state of my application, it means that when I fetch my product, I want to be storing my product somewhere where it will be easy and accessible for me. And that's what I mean by what using these classes here. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I did not lose anybody with my explanation. I just hope I did not lose anybody with my explanation. So again, I can duplicate this as well for what has next page. And you can put JSDoc on all of them, right? You can put JSDoc on all of them to make it easy for you in a way. So here is going to be what has next page, and we can change this to can change this to, let's just change this to as next page, get has next page, and this is what has next page. Okay, and then we can also do this as well for what, for previous page as well. So this will be what, as previous page, and this will be what, as what, previous page. Okay, and from this one as well, we have, I think we can get as product. We should be able to do like a has product as well, or a get. There's a has product. We can do get product. Just duplicate this as well to do one for get product. So we can say products with s, right? Get products, and this will return what our this dot what products, this dot product. And then we can also do so we can also have other functions to like say special functions, right? Specifically, let's say we want to increment or decrement the page. We can have increment next page, or increment current page. Yeah, we can do increment current page in a way. You can implement current page in a way. So we can say if here, if, how do I do this now? Increment the current page. I think it could just be a function that says, let's do next page. So next page is supposed to just move whatever my current page is, just do like a +1 to my current page. Okay, so and it will only happen if I have what. So if this dot has next page, if this dot has next page is true, what I want to do here is just do this dot current page to be what, plus equals to 1, right? And I can duplicate this for what, the next one as well. Say, okay, if you want to go back to what, the previous page here, I think previous page, to be able to go back to the previous page, so this will be what, as what, previous page. If as previous page is true, then you can say what, this is what, minus what, minus what, minus 1. Pathway. So these are just methods. You can keep going on and going on and going on, but I think these are the major ones that I kind of like need for the class. Just give me some few minutes. I'm going to wrap up now. Just give me some few minutes. I'll probably wrap up in a few minutes now. Okay. And so let's just plug and play all the things that we have done. How many of you are excited to plug and play now? That's where the real work is. Plug and play. Even me now, I need to breathe out and breathe in very well, because here there will be some serious troubles here. But when we run into error, we are going to fix it. We're going to fix it. So the first thing I think I want to happen here would be that this base URL here, we don't need this base URL anymore. This whole process, so we don't need this anymore, and I'm probably going to take this out gradually. The app would have I would have broken the app that way. This whole process of like the container, the app container as well, I think we can still keep this, right? Keep this particular one here. Then we want to create our UI, right? We want to create our UI. How do we create our UI? We already have our UIs inside components, so it means that I have to import from my component to create what my UI. So I say create what our UI here, and our UI is coming from where? From component again. And what are the things that are coming from component? Inside our component, we have, especially for the product list, we have a function called create product what. There's a create product list container. Create product list container. Product list container. So this one here is a function, and it just returns what? If you go into let's go into component and go into product list here. So you would see that what there is a what, or product list container. I think there should be a product list container. Create product list. Is it create product container or create product list container? I think I called it create. I think that's what I called it here. So I can make it I think I can call it create to let it make sense. Just put create there to let it make sense. Now if I type this properly, create product, is there intelligence for me? So you can see that what there is now create product list. So if I click on this now, it would have imported it. You see that what it has imported it at the top for me. Now this returns what? Two things here, an array here. So it means that what this will return const what? Square bracket, I can destructure, right? And what is this supposed to return? It's going to return what? Product what? Product div, comma, and it's going to return what? Product what? List back, right? Create product div product. So it means that what? These two lines here, they are no longer what necessary anymore, right? You can see that what those lines are not necessary anymore. Now the next phase is I think this as well, we then can also create our pagination. I think so. The whole pagination thing here as well, we can also create it as well with a particular what? With a particular function. Okay. And the function that creates the pagination, I think the function that creates pagination is inside pagination. So inside pagination, I have a function here called what? Create pagination button. So I'm just going to type create pagination. I call it what? Create pagination. Create pagination. Why is it not fetching? Create pagination buttons. Okay, let's do this here. Create pagination button. Okay. Create pagination button. So it's not fetching that. So let me just type it full. Create pagination buttons. And that is supposed to return pagination buttons. So let's just say pagination buttons back to us. And this is going to come from where? This is going to come from, this is coming from duplicate this, and this is coming from pagination, right? It's coming from pagination, okay. And then there should be what? Create pagination buttons here. And so there's what piece. So it will create what? The pagination button. This has created the product list, this has created the product div, and this is create pagination. So it means that what? We are still on track, right? Everything is still going. We can then append as well, right? We can append, that is, and say, okay, display whatever our default product is. Then this function, we modify this function to now make a lot of sense. So what we want to just do is, I think, we want to call a function. We can call a function to help us to load the buttons. So here, let's do this. Let's just modify this to have a function, say load, maybe let's just do async. I think I can call an async here. Async function to load. So we want to call this what? Load product. So this is the function that that would always load our product based on whatever page that we are currently on. And what will that function be doing instantly inside of it is, the key thing it will be doing is what? It will be calling our fetch product. So if you call fetch product, right, it has imported from where? From our services, and it has fetch product. And then you can now pass it and say, okay, since it's an async function, right, you can await here, right, fetch the product, and then we can say that what? It can take a page. I think it can take page and limit. It can take page and limit. I think if I hover on it here, it will tell me that what? It needs page and limit. How do we now get our limit here? How do we get our limit here? Our limit, remember that we have our state management inside what? State.js, and we are exporting the whole thing here. Let's just comment this out, right? We are exporting the whole thing here. So if I write, I think if I type app state, let's just type app state. So if I type app state here, you can see it's trying to import it from utils.state. So click on this app state dot what? Dot limit, right? And that will be what? Our valid what? Limit from our pagination. And here, because this is also an await here, right, we can say const what? Const data or result is equals to this. So this here, again, to do error management, always put try and catch around your what? Async function. Try and catch must be around the async function to make it make sense. And once there's a try and catch there, we can, another thing is, before we fetch this data, it will make sense to show and display loading. And we have a function for that, show loading. I think we have a function for show loading. There must be a function for show loading, right? Show loading. And I think, does it accept anything? No, I think it accepts product div. It accepts our product div. So this will display loading. This will then fetch the product, and once it has fetched the product, we need a way to update. So we can always do what app state, right? App state dot what? We have a function to update called what update. And what do you want to pass to it? You pass what the data that was fetched into it. So you can see the way it logically now what makes sense. And after we have updated our state, we then need to render, right? Because now we have like a set of things that has been updated. Then you can now render, and then we also have a function for render. There's a function in our product list that is what render products. What does render product accept? Render product accepts what product and product element. So we have product, and our product in this sense is what can be gotten from our state, which is what app state dot get product. So you can see the way it is getting interesting now. Get product, which is what a method, comma, then we have our product, what our product list, right? You have your product list right there. So the thing with the breaking down that we did is what you can see that it's now like clean, step by step, and then you are able to what to really make sense. Like without me explaining, anybody can then come and just what they are able to what relate with what is going on really. And then we also have another function to what to handle error situations. Before we go further, we have a function to handle error situations. What's the function? We say show error. There's a show error, right, that we created. Show error, and you call it, and you pass it what your product what div as well, right there. And you can also console.log the error, right, in case you need to console.log the error. Now, after we have rendered the product, we need to now what also what talk about what pagination, right? We need to render the product, and I think after we've rendered the product, there is a in our product list. Let's come to our product list here. There should be another function to show product, right? Because it is still showing the loading. It has rendered it, but it has not started, because this one will just render it. Because if you look at what the render again, the render is just going to render it. So we need a show to now what show what your product, right? Show your product. So you can see that it's just importing everything. We've written it, it's just importing. So it will show, it accepts what two things. Product div, we have it already. Product div, comma, and what our product what list. Right there. And then once it has done that, we can then go to pagination. And then we want to also what update what our pagination UI. So we need to first update it from state level, right? To update it from state level, maybe before we update from state level, we can just first do I think this update will even undo it already, because this update handles all the update of the meta and the data. So the next thing is to I think we can call update pagination button. I think I should be able to call the update pagination button. Update pagination data. Is there update pagination data or update pagination state? Did I create a update pagination state in my pagination? Okay, I call it pagination state. But is there like an update pagination state? Update button state. Update page. This update pagination data, I think we can call the update pagination data. So update pagination data, what does it need? It needs the current page and total page. And how can we get our current page? You can do what app state dot what app state dot again get your current page on the fly. It's a method, comma app state dot what dot get your what get your total page. Total pages is a function as well. So, and the beauty again is this is clean, like it's clean, it's explanatory, right? Very kind of like explanatory and straightforward in a sense there. And then the next one is update our button state, the state of the button, whether they should have what whether they should have disabled or they should not have. Another thing is that this update button state, the update button state. maybe let's just focus on, let me just focus on this and let's display the results. Let's to update what button state, press enter. What does he expect? He's expecting as next. Where can I get my as next again? I can do my app state dot what? Do you have what? Your get as what next page? You can see how easy this is, and then you can do what app state dot what dot get as previous page, and it's a method as well, and you call this there. So by default now we have a function called load product, right? Load product that we then need to what we need to call. And how do you call your load product? Then it means that we can also have so I think I have the power to just clean out all of this as well, to clean them out, because we've abstracted all of these into what smaller reusable. So how do we call our load product? It's an async function, and to make it easy for us to call our async function, what we can do is what we can create another async function, which will be this will be like our initiate or start app. So we can call it like our start app function in a way. It should be blank, and the app will just be what start app. You can call start app here, and this will be what will start the app here. And in the start app, it will set up maybe our pagination button. That is, it will append our pagination button. So you have your app dot append child, right? Append child, and this will then append our pagination button on the app, right? Our pagination button on the app. Then the next thing is to what? Set up the pagination event, right? That is our event, set up pagination event handlers, right? And here it's expecting us to have two callback functions. It is expecting us to have two callback functions. So we can create what? Two callback functions for what? So the functions can be what? One can be function, what would this be now? Let's just say func here. This can be next page handler, next page callback handler. You can call it callback handler, callback handler, right? Handler. And yeah, does it have a parameter? I don't think it should have any parameter. It should not have a parameter. And then we can also duplicate this, and then you have the next one to be what? Prev page handler. So I don't know what is going to be inside here, but because this is expecting them here, and what's the order? So the first one is next, so we can say this will be next here, right? Next callback handler, comma, and prev what? Callback what handler, right there. So that will set it up there. And what else do we need? What else do we need to do to make our product show? And I think we can then call our wait, and we can say load the product now, and let's see whether our product is going to load. And when our product is going to load, what does it need? It needs app state dot what? App state dot what? Your current page. I think we can call current page, or we can call get current page as well on the fly. Get your current page as well to call your get current page here. So here, nothing is going to work right here, but let's see the page if we have something. Okay, we have error here. We have error here on, I think, line, I don't know where the error is coming from. Let's kind of inspect where the error is coming from. Error passing product. So there is no product defined. Error passing product. I think that's coming from product list here. Let's just delete it here. It's coming from product list here, which is the first function here. Oh, This can be product here, so this has to be const images, and then it is returning what the image is right here, and there should be what piece. There should be what piece now. Okay, so it's saying that what the next one is error passing product image can't access lexically declared this before declaration. Can access lexically declaration images before the initialization. Sorry. So we can call this, since we're already declaring a parameter here to be what images, so we can do this to be product images. Let's just say, instead of this to be, put a cursor here, put another cursor here, should be what? Product images, because we're already using images here. We can't use images again there. So yeah, I think this should give us better result. Now, we're not getting any error as to why it is not happening. So let's see network. Let's see our network. Is it making API calls? Let's check. Is it making API calls? So it's fetching product, right? It's fetching a product. So it means that let's debug here. Here we can debug here and say this line is fetching, but where this is rendering, that's where the problem is. So starting from this line is where the problem is, right? Problem is somewhere around here. So in a way, you can put what? A debugger here, right? You can put a debugger here, right? And if we reload the application, right? Reload the application in a way. If you reload the application, so you can see that what the debugger has paused the application, it has made the API call, and we can also close this out like that, and then you can. So as I over on this page here, this is the result of the API. Can you see this now, right? So it has data and it has what the meta. Now, this render product is what I want to inspect. I don't know what is going on in this render product, right? So if I put something in here and I step into that, right, and go into it again one more time, go into it one more time, go into product one more time. So this is the render product. So we have the list of the 20 products there. We have the UL here. And then so let's go in again into it one more time, go in here. So you can see the step by step now. So I'm using the debugger to step into it, right? Step into it, step into it, step into it, step into it. So it means that the render product is sort of working. I think the render product is working in a way, right? The render product is working in a way. So what I can do is I can go back to the main.js, take this away, right, and put this here. So it looks as though the render product is fine, right? But where we are showing the product is where the next suspicion comes in. So I can again step into this, right? And now you can see that what it has paused where it has paused on I think it has paused on create product item. This is a div. If I see the text content of this div, if we see the inner HTML, there is the image here, and there is a product name here beside as well. There's the image, and there's this here. So let's step into this here. Step into this here. Step into this. Step into this. Step into this. Step into this. I think we can play this. Okay, so it has gone now into show product. Now we are inside product, so we are sure that the render product at least probably renders everything, and I want to debug show product and show product and product list. So step into show product as well. show product set text content to be this. So this UL also contains all of the product here, and this is appending. So this is appending. So it means that the show product is also working. Okay. I think we have it on the page. Can we see it now? Can you see show product is on the page? So as at this show product now, it renders everything on the page. So I think something else might be causing problem. Oh, okay. Oh, I think we see where the problem is coming from now. So it is forcefully going into show error. It is forcefully going into show error. I think that's where the problem is. It's forcefully going into the show error. And I think that's where the problem is. Play. So after this try and catch, why is it going into this catch? For God's sake, it should not enter this catch. Okay, so update pagination. Okay, something is failing inside update pagination data. So that's why it is eating into the cache. So now I can take the debugger away from this place, take the debugger into what? Update what pagination, and I can what? Reload what? The whole thing. Like reload the whole thing again. And now it's going to stop inside my what? It should stop inside my update pagination. I can go inside it. So it means that this one is not even allowing us to go inside update pagination data at all. So what is breaking inside this update pagination data? Is it only network that is breaking? No, the network is not breaking, because if you look at the background, is the audio breaking? Can anybody confirm that the audio is breaking? And somebody else confirm that the audio is breaking. Okay. Victoria said no. Right. So here, this is where the problem is. And how do we check this update pagination data? Now, I think the goal is, if the debugger is not stepping inside of the debugger is not stepping inside, so what we can do is to go inside the pagination, come here inside pagination, and put console.log. So this is the line that we're expecting that has problem, line 27. Where's that function coming from? Line 27. So this is the update pagination data here. So first and foremost here, we want to what? Put a debugger here. Or since we're already using debugger, let's just console.log. Let's use our console.log to help us here. Let's do, can we do a log here? Or let's just do console.log. And we want to log current what? Current page and what? And total what? Total pages. It's going to be one syntax issue somewhere that I have committed. And then if that works, let's also console.log what? Page number span. So you can copy this as well and say console.log this as well to see whether you are here. I'm also suspecting this page number span, whether it did not find this element. And this page number is being created inside of this place here. Page number, right? Page, pagination page number. So it's being created here. So let's go and what? Refresh again and try to debug and catch where the problem is there. Refresh. The debugger was paused here. Let's press play. to go into this place here. And if we go into this place, we need our console. Why will you say error while fetching product? Why will you say error while fetching product? Where is this error coming from? Error while fetching product is originating from. So again, as I click on this again, it said it's originating from fetch product. So if I go to fetch product in our app, fetch product, yeah, error while fetching product. Why is this logged? This should not be logged. If the network request, if the network request is successful, why should this be a problem? If the error is, so what we can do is, I think I can console.log again, what the error that is catching is here, so that we can use that as a guide as well to help us to guide and to catch where the problem is coming from. Let's just refresh the whole thing again. So 2 places we are debugging in the console, right? You can check your console to track, and then we can also debug here. So you can play this as well here. So if you check our console here, there's no error here, and our debugger, there's no error here. So can you step into the debugger? It's just like it doesn't go into, it's like, it's like something is breaking in this line. Let me see my console. The error is not also clear. What is going on here? The error is not clear what's going on. Do we have any error? Yeah. Okay. Can you see now? Can you see as I hover on the error? What is this error now? It says that what? Update pagination data is not defined. How? Update pagination data is not defined. How? Update pagination data is not defined. Update pagination data. Look at something as small as that is what is disgracing us. Something as small as that is what is disgracing us. And this is also to say that I chose to use Firefox Mozilla because the error handling in Firefox is not that great. But if you're using Chrome, Chrome would have spotted this error way earlier because Chrome has like better error handling in a way compared to what Mozilla in a way. So if we refresh this page now, there should be no more problem. There should be no more problem. Play this, right? Then go to the next line, right? Go to the next line, go to the next line. Okay, go to the next line. Okay, it's logging. It finds the element. Did it get the element? Yeah, it gets the element. It logs it. So if I check my log now, I will see what the current page and the total page. I will see the HTML element of what we have on the page. So it has not turned, but it will call the next line now. So this is the set text content now. So if you go to the next line, it calls the next line. Yes, it appears. Right. And then we go to the next line as well. Then update what? The button state as well, so that it will disable this previous, because both of them are enabled now as well. So you can go inside and then it gets, if it has next page, get if it has next page, and then it goes inside and then it also what disables the right button and what enables the right one and disables the nice one. So debugger is very beautiful if you can slow down to understand how debuggers work. Is this the first time you're seeing debugging? Anybody who's seeing debugging for the very first time like this? Can you use a thumbs up and let me know if you're seeing debugging like this for the very first time? Or maybe, yeah, if you're seeing it for the very first time, you can use a thumbs up. Debugging like this is helpful to help you to catch any problem, because you're not writing console.log everywhere, you're not spelling console.log everywhere. You're carefully just stepping into your application one by one to figure out where the problem is. And you can see now that what the previous is what disabled and what the next is what enabled. And then if I play the application, and then we have what's the display of the application. Time will not permit me to style this, so maybe in the next class we will talk about what the whole styling. And now if you press next, nothing will happen. Why? You know why nothing will happen? Because our callback here is what? Our callback here is empty. And what should happen in our callback? What will happen in our callback? Who can guess what will happen in our callback? I don't want to write this alone. Can somebody help me? Who can guess? When you want to fetch next, we want to get whatever we want to increase. So for next is like, I want to increase current to what? By 1, right? Increase current by 1. By what? By 1. Do we have a function to help us to increase this? So if you do app state dot what? I think there is what? We'll have a function that says that what? Next page. If you call next page here, that will what? Increase, right? By 1 here. And if you duplicate this and take this to the next one, and this is what will happen here. This should be what? Previous page, right? And after it has what? This will what? If this is incrementing, this is what? Decrementing. I like this. This is decrementing. And after this has happened, what do you think should happen anymore? Who can guess what should happen anymore? One person to guess what will happen. Then we need to now call the load product again, right? Because now we already have like what the next page, what the current page has been increased from 1, and then you can now call what? Await, right? And say load what? Load product. And when you're loading product this time, what does load product expect? Load product is telling you to what is the page that you want me to what? To fetch. But since we have increased our what? Current page, you can say what? App state, and say what? App state dot what? Get what? Current what? Page. Because this current page has been increased, right? No, I think just do get current page. This is not it. It should be get what? It should be get what? Current what? Page. So this will automatically get the page that this one has what? Increased. And we are having a wait here, so it means that this has to turn to what? An async here. And then I can also what? Create this as well. Duplicate this into this place and turn this into what? A sync here. So the truth with this modularization is that this modularization makes your app entirely crisp clean. Crisp clean. Like it is self-explanatory to anybody what and what is going on within what? This application. Very clean, very explanatory to what is going on. This creates the UI, both the div and the product list. This creates the pagination. We append it here. We have a function to load the product here. We have what? A callback function here. And then you have what? The function that starts what? Our application right here. And I think we can remove our debugger here. Where's our debugger again? We can remove the debugger. The debugger should be on where did I put debugger again? Debugger, where are you? Are you here or are you here? Debugger, are you inside our utils? Where did we put the debugger again? Where did I put the debugger? I can't remember. Who remembers the file I kept the debugger? Main.js, think inside main.js. So here I can take my debugger out and what? Uncomment it or remove it out there. And I think the console.log in the pagination as well can be removed as well, because we don't need this again. So that our console is always clean and it is executing the right thing to do. So let's refresh the whole page here, and yeah, take this out as well. Click this to take it out, reload the whole page. Click this to take this out, reload the whole page. So this renders the whole thing. And then we have what? You have your next. Okay, right, page 2, right? You have your page 2, right? Then you have what? Your page 3, right? Yeah. And then you have your prev, which takes us back, right? And it updates, and you have your prev. I like this. Like, it's just scripts explanatory, scripts explanatory. Very straightforward and very kind of like easy. I know it took us a lot of time and all that too. There's still some JS passing here that is a problem, so I might want to look at this and fix this later on as well. But I feel like this is a very interesting approach to like vanilla JavaScript. And I feel like if they ask you, those guys in Barakat now, if they ask you to do something like this with React, I believe like you should be able to approach it. I believe, right? It should be something that you're able to approach. I think this is also not supposed to be enabled, right? This is not supposed to be enabled as well. So that's another bug that is there for us to fix. This is supposed to be disabled, right? So I should be able to fix that as well. It's a bug. And because all this code, they're going to be on GitHub as well, you can look it up and also attempt to like what fix this on your own. But I don't know if this makes any sense to you. Can I get some thumbs up or thumbs down? Does it make sense? Do you have questions before I kind of like close everything? My time is, I've taken like 3 hours of some people's time today. Thumbs up. Okay, only one person. For those other persons on the call, will you be able to like get a chance to replay? And when you replay, will it make sense? When you get a chance to replay, will it make sense? The .versal in the folder of the project was a React project with Vite, but the single page application, do we have components? No, because there is .versal there does not mean it's a React application. The reason why there is .versal there is because I used Vercel to host. Vercel can host either it's a React or host single page application. Does that make sense? Or whether it's a React application or not, right? And how did I even host that again in Vercel? For those who don't know about hosting in Vercel, I think for those who have been coming to class before, I used the Vercel CLI, like Vercel CLI, right? Just on your terminal, you can install Vercel CLI. Just search on the internet to install Vercel CLI, right? That's what I use to help me to do that. But if you don't want to use the Vercel CLI, you can also go to Vercel.what. Just go to Vercel here and add new project. So long as your project is on GitHub, you add new project. And then once you have the project on GitHub, you search for whatever the project is. So it will allow you to search for what and what the I think is extra class. So you to search for what extra class is, right? And then you can import it that way. Did I answer your question, Victoria? That the reason why you have a .versal there is because like I'm hosting on Vercel and I used Vercel CLI. So Vercel CLI is the one who added that .versal folder. But I think the Vercel folder is excluded from my Git by default. Is excluded from my Git as well. And then it's okay, why do I have Vercel folder here? Vercel folder is created when you link a Vercel project. Why do you have project.json? Okay, so this is even answering your question, Victoria. This is asking you questions, right, dear? So does that make sense, Victoria? I used the Vercel CLI to like do the pushing and the hosting. So here, for those who are also not used to like pull request approach. So to do pull request approach here means that we are inside main here, right? We are inside main here. And everything that we have inside main here that we've done so far, I have already done it inside a branch. Like ahead of time. So I could just do like a git discard of this that we have here. So if we do a git discard of what we have, and I can do a GCO into feature, right, module cleanup. And from this branch right here, you can see that what if I do LL here, L just to LL of SRC. So you will see that what we have LS of SRC. So you see that we have components, we have services, we have what our utils folder. So from here, I can then do what? Raise a PR, right? I can do GH, PR, right, create, because I'm using GH CLI. GH is a what GitHub CLI to raise what a CLI right there. And I can say what the title is going to be what? The title is going to be feature. This was module what? Module clean up right there. And then you can put what description, right? Or description. And then you can put description as well. Clean up the main.js to what? To have components, comma, services, and what? And utils to make the app cleaner. Clean. And then you can what? And then you can create the pull request. I think it should be body. So change description here to be what? Body right there as well. So, and then you can press enter, and that would create what? The pull request. Right. So the pull request has been created. So if I go to what? If I go to GitHub, right, and search for this particular what? I think if I go to github.com and search for extra class, and press enter here, you would then see what? You would then see what? A pull request here. We'll have a pull request here as well. And that is everything about what pull request. And Vercel has already built what? Vercel has already built I think it has already built the URL for us. So we can click on the preview to check if the preview is working. Click on the preview to see if the preview is working. Authorization is required, and then you have it there. And then you have next there. You have next there, and it works perfectly fine. And then we can just go ahead and merge, right? And merge. You merge the pull request. And once we merge the pull request, now we can then we can then go back and say git checkout, right? And go back to the main branch, and then you can do a git pull, right? And then it will pull the latest into the branch, and then it has pulled everything that we have merged into this. This is a very beautiful execution. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but I believe that for those who are going to be watching this later on, while you're watching and if this makes sense to you, you can probably drop a comment on the YouTube link, or reach out to me on the community hub. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me too. But for those who are here right in the class while I'm doing this live, does this make sense? Does this make sense to you? Right? It's just us. Please pick to JSX in this project. I just want to know that we can dynamically use React for JS project. Victoria, don't let me. So what I would do is that I think I'll probably find a spare time to create a pull request of JSX, and I'll send only you. Do you understand, Victoria? I probably would. I don't want to confuse things too much here with this, but in a sense, even if I want to do this now, I think for those who are here for the Karatu 2025 guys, which is I think Praise, are you the only one here? Is it Praise and J-Boss? Is J-Boss, are you Barakat? I can't pick, but I know that I can. No, J-Boss should not be Karatu. So it's only Praise that is still left from your class. And Hayo.
Ayo is also here.
Jesus Christ. Your friends left only 2 of you here. Okay. It's not bad at the end. It's not too bad. So both of you know GSX now. I mean, we've done GSX before now, right? Can I get some
Yes, sir.
response? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
it means that for what Victoria is asking me to do, to be honest, right? Let me stop recording. Yeah, should I stop recording? Will it benefit you guys? I've taken extra time. Do you guys give me 10 minutes to do? Should I take 10 minutes out of your time to do what Victoria is doing? I think it might benefit everybody in a way. Might benefit everybody in a way, but I didn't want to do this work, but because Victoria is curious, so we can do B and do feature GSX, GSX. Let's just call it GSX. So this takes whatever we have in the main and create a branch called feature GSX. And I think that the next step would have just been to do what? NPM. Let me see. Are we using NPM or what are we using? Let's do ls to see. We're using NPM, so we can just do NPM hi React and React latest. So that brings React into that same project that we are doing, and it also brings because before we can use GSX, we need something to understand that is GSX now, right? So we need React in a way to kind of like come in a way there. Then we also need Vite plugin React. Do we need Vite plugin React in a way? We don't even need Vite plugin React in the approach I want to try out here. So it means that in our component here, where's the SRC? So it means that all these stories that we are doing, that is long, that is doing here, we can just convert, say this one now. Let's take this example here, this one here. We can just convert only this one to what GSX here. And if you have been my student very, very well, and you have been following me very carefully, you will know that to create GSX in this place would have been what? A React dot what? Create what element, and then you can open bracket like that. So what is the element that we're trying to create here? You're creating a element to be div, right? And then you're saying that you have what you over on this in saying that what it requires what the type, and it requires prop, and it requires children in a sense there. So this here would be what const what. This will now be what const what pagination button, right? Pagination button JSX. So this is now what a React element here, and it's the same thing as what line 6 here. Does this make any sense to you, Victoria? The approach I'm using there, does it make sense to you there? So in a sense, right, we're just showing you how GSX will take that particular pagination step by step. So if it takes this here, then it means that what we want to add what pagination button here, and it means that what we can add this as what prop, and say class what class name is what what's the class name here? The class name is what pagination dot what hyphen what buttons here. And yeah, that's all. And then we can also give it children, right? You can give it children, and children is going to be what another what's going to be children. So here we can say children to be here as well here. And the truth is, like, you can take all of this as well here, because this is what there are 3 elements here. You create what a priv. Let's take this and take it to what a JSON here. I think I can, to help me, I can look for a utility that can help us to JSX, or let's just say JS to JSX or HTML to JSX, to just help me to JSX to just help me here. HTML to JSX real quick. And then we just have this here. And then we can paste what? Is this paste what? Whatever this HTML is here. Paste, right? Paste this whole thing here. And then we paste this here. And then this is what? The JSX version of this. And though we can also what? We can cut this out, all right, or copy this and then do this. So this uses what? The create React version. So if you don't want to use that as well, you can now say const what? You can say prev button JSX again is equals to what? This here. And for this to work very well now, it means that this .js file must become JSX. This must become what? Rename, and it has to go to what? JSX before this can be processed. Because it is only when you do the JSX extension that what your browser or your feed can then process what? Something that looks like this for you here. And I think we can even console.log what this. You can console.log, you can console.log what? .prev here, prev JSX here as well, so that you can also see it in action in the way here. And this is one here, right? Create the JSX version, and this is what another one here, creating the JSX version here. And also we can change this to end with what? JSX right here. Now it should break the application. I believe it should break the application. There should be error. There should be some error from Vite. There should be some error from Vite. Yeah, I believe there must be some error from Vite. React is not defined, right? We could see like what there should be what? React is not defined, right? Here. Thank you for maybe raising this, Victoria, because this sort of makes sense, right? So the one where React is not defined here, right? You know what to do, right? Is what? To import what? To import what? Import React from where? From React. I honestly, I think I just like JS, honestly, because JS is right very powerful in a sense. So both of them will now work. Right, both of them will just work. So you can see that this is the log of what the JSX that you have on line 17, right? Is the log of what JSX you have what on line 17. So as I've turned the prev to JSX, I can turn what? The loading or this loader to JSX, and I can turn this button to JSX, and then we can go ahead and what? Continue to what? To write all these things what in JSX one by one. Victoria, does it make sense? Does it make sense? So you can see that, yeah, go ahead and speak. Yeah, go ahead and speak.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm just really, I can follow this now that we have done, but I'm just still confused about how we started the project from the beginning. Like when I saw all the package.json, I believed that we did it the React way. But now that we are just importing React, just because we use all those words, all those export, imports, all those things, I am not aware that we use those things in JavaScript normally.
No, we use them. I don't know how we missed it for your class. I don't know how I missed it. I didn't really explain that. And I take responsibility for that, because modules every of those things can work in pure JS without React. React just comes in and say, hey, I will then make your UI, your user interface, a little bit cleaner and beautiful. Does that make sense, Victoria? Does that make sense? Yeah. So the part where maybe you were not aware before, yeah, those things are valid in pure JS. Very, very absolutely valid in pure JS. And you can see here also that I didn't also, like, if you look at your package.json, you would see that we don't have a vite.config.js. And you know that normally when we do a template of React, you would see that normally by default it will come with what? A vite.config.js. So that will tell you that we created this with just bare bones vanilla. It's pure JavaScript here, and then we start building on it. But this project, we can transition it into React like that, and it will still absolutely go straight with us, because now we can just create a vite.ts.config.js, and then I will import the Vite React plugin, right? And then I'm transitioning into React gradually. Maybe that's the approach we'll eventually take to, to just let everybody know. But the goal for today's class was to just show you that this is pure vanilla JavaScript and it's powerful. And this is the real deal that would give your career a foundation that makes sense. So I don't know how you guys will take this into your, your journey. Maybe you have to watch the video 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a way, but this is a good foundation, right? You can fetch an API, you can break things down into modules, you can do something amazing easily with pure JavaScript. Any other question? Victoria, do you have any other question or any question? Any other person with any question? Ayo. Phrase. I know that what I did a little bit today was technical. Was it technical though? Ayo. Was it very, very technical, or is it still in accordance with what we have been building? Is it in accordance with what we've been building from your own perspective? I probably would love to hear from you. I can stop the recording now because this is just feedback. So it's going to be like 3 hours video. Then I can see I don't even know your name now, but I can't remember your name now, but I can see Olatundum family, Chidike. I think I can see you as well. It's nice to have you on the core. I've been trying to reach you on Discord, but you've not responded. So you can check your Discord and let me know how you're doing. Chris, what do you think? What do you think? Just high level? What do you think? High level? High level? What do you think?
It's not so new. Like the concepts are not so new. I know I'll have to rewatch the video again, but I kind of like understand it to a certain extent.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Emmanuel, Uncle, Lale, what do you think? I know you guys are seniors already. Emmanuel and Gilbert, what do you guys think? Are you still here? What do you think? JS is not simple. Yeah, I mean, I know JS is not simple. I know, I agree, and I admit JS is not simple. But if you can really figure JS out, like you can figure it out, you would see the joy. Sometimes when I see some code, you can see the joy from me. Like I freaking like this. That's the joy of like when you get JS figured out. Like it just clicks. Like everything just clicks for you. And that's what I'm trying to do with you guys. I hope you guys can just figure it out. Like you can figure it out and have the confidence to do this on your own. And you can even, because again, in the API we have product. I think another student will just try on their own and try to do like another API post, right? If somebody else will try to do like task or to do, just try something else on your own. It's still the same code, but change it and see if you're able to handle whatever thing that comes here. And then do you have questions? And then bring the question further. And I think those are the ways by which you can master, all these concepts, right, at the end. But thank you so much, everybody that joined.